Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. This is our first English lesson of the new term, and it is Monday, the 22nd of February. So we're going to start off with our new spelling rule, first of all, and we are going on for silent letters, okay? So lots of words can be quite tricky to spell because they've got a letter in them that you can't actually hear when you say the word, so it makes it quite tricky to spell that one out. So I've got lots of examples here for you. We've got plumber, column, doubt, limb, night, island, lamb, whistle. Hopefully you can see which the silent letters are in there. In doubt, you've got that B, haven't you? Where's that come from? It's your silent letter. We've got solemn, tomb, again, silent letters. So pause the video now for 2 minutes, copy down these words, and can you think of any more words with silent letters? There's lots and lots. Can you jot any of those down if you know them as well? Off you go. Okay, so for our spelling activity, we are looking at this passage, Ben's eventful day, and we are going to be thinking about what are the missing silent letters for each of these words. So you'll notice as we read through, each of them is numbered, the ones you need to identify and add in the missing letter, okay? So I'm going to read it through, and as I do, you can write number 1, and you could just write down the missing letter, or you could write down the full word, okay? So, pens and paper at the ready. Ben's eventful day. Ben woke up, stretched out his arms and knocked his clock off the bedside table. He sighed loudly and leant out of bed to pick up the clock. As he fumbled for the clock, he hit his knuckle on his toy knight, which he had been playing with last night. Finally, he found the clock and returned it to the top of the unit. Ben got up and tried to remember which day of the week it was. He looked at his calendar and saw that it was Wednesday. He looked at his smart blue school uniform and remembered that it was half term and his mum had put his uniform on his chair, ready for him to put away in his wardrobe. Are you dressed yet? Whispered his dad as he came into the room. Your breakfast is ready. Oh, do you have some of those anchor-shaped biscuits that we made yesterday? Yes, I do. I'll put some in, Mum smiled. Let's go, shouted Dad from the front door. Dad was taking him to Essex Castle and Farm. As Ben stepped out the front door, he saw Bob, the chipped garden gnome, who was broken last week. Mum had glued him back together, and he was now back in his usual place. Mum's rhubarb plants were growing well, and he knew that his mum would soon be cooking them. Ben climbed into his car seat and waved to Mum, who was standing at the window. Ben learned that the castle was built a long time ago. The sign on the wall said that there was a ghost who roamed the building. It said that if you listened carefully and hummed, you could hear your echo vibrating around the room. Okay, did you manage to get those 20 missing letters? There are lots and lots. So pause the video now, make sure you've got them all down, and I will reveal the answers on the next slide. Okay, here are your answers all down the side, all of our missing letters. So pause the video, tick off the ones you got, and you might recognise the ones that you didn't get as well. Okay, so for our topic for the next couple of weeks, we are going to be looking at this incredible picture book, and it's called The Arrival, and it's by an author and illustrator called Sean Tan, and he's Australian. So obviously, we don't all have copies of the book at home. So I found a link to the video, which is below on the screen on YouTube. Now, if you can't find that video or this link doesn't work, because you'll have to type it in yourselves when you have to get a new tab up, open that tab, type the link in. I'm posting it on every dojo page, so you should be able to find it there. If not, you could just write The Arrival picture book in YouTube and a similar one will come up. It's a 5-minute long one, so make sure it's that one. So once you've done that, sit back, relax and enjoy. watch the video of the book and have a little think about some of its themes. What do you think is happening in this story? Okay, so go and do that now. Pause this video for 5 minutes and come back when you're ready. Okay, I hope you really enjoyed that story. It's absolutely incredible. The drawing's so powerful without any words at all. You really get a sense of what's happening. So just in case some of us weren't entirely clear with what was going on in that video, I've got a couple of questions for you to think about first. So pause for a moment and think about these questions to yourself. What is happening in this story? So we've got our main character, haven't we? And he seems to be leaving, he seems to be going somewhere. Why? What happens when he gets there? So could you jot down any ideas? What is happening in this story? My second question is this. Why do you think our character left for a new city? I've written city/country because he goes on a big, long journey on a boat, doesn't he? So it's a brand new place for him. Why do you think he left? My next question for you. What are the positive and negative moments in the animation of this book? There are some quite scary bits, aren't there? There are some really uplifting, joyous parts. So what were some positive and negative moments that you found in there? And now I want you to think about these two questions. How did this story make you feel? It was a real roller coaster of emotions I found watching it and reading it. You start off quite worried for this family, and then you're like, oh, a bit of hope because he's gone to this new place. And then there's flashbacks to what's happening in the old place. And then at the end, all seems well again. How did it make you feel? And what point do you think the author is trying to make? Why do you think he wrote this story? What was he trying to get across? Because this is a completely made up place, isn't it? With some amazing settings and scenery. But is he trying to make a comparison with our lives now? What point do you think he's trying to make? It could be anything. Okay, pause the video, have a think about those questions. You might want to jot something down. You don't have to. You could just think about it. Okay, so the arrival. Here we are. This is the final scene from the book. Now, I don't know if it was on that video, but the final scene from the book is the man and his family have joined him in this new place, and they look a lot happier now, don't they, than they did at the beginning of the book. And they've got their little pet creature down there. Lots of different animals and creatures around in this story. So the arrival tells us a universal story of immigration, so moving from one place to another. The story is about a man leaving his home to find work and support his family, whose home has apparently become unsafe. So we see all these like almost dragon-like snake tails going around their city, and it makes it seem like a bit scary, like something's trying to take over. In the new land, he goes through a lengthy administrative process. So he's, they do a medical check on him. He has to show his passport, his papers, and he manages to find a small living space. So he's got that room, hasn't he? Although he struggles to understand the different languages, navigates through the unknown city and find a secure job, he makes new friends with the locals and learns of the struggles of other refugees that have also left their homes, sharing his experiences as well. So the people he meets through the story, he shares experiences with them, and he starts to understand them a bit, even though he doesn't understand their language at all when he gets there. And eventually the man's family joins him in the new land, and they settle into their new happy life. Okay. So your task today is a bit of a do a bit, I'll say a bit, do a bit. So make sure that you've got your can I ready, can I understand the story, and you're going to see some images from the story over the next few slides. And I would like you to write down how you think the main character is feeling at each point. So you might want to do it in like a thought bubble type thing, or you might just want to write a couple of sentences. So with every image, I want you to think to yourself, what are this man's worries, what are his fears, and what are his hopes at each point? Okay, so for example, this first picture here is when he's in his, where they live originally. And I've just written something down here. I don't want to leave my family, but it's not safe here anymore. I need to try and make a better life for us in the city. I've just called it the city because we don't know what it's called. But that's possibly what he's thinking here. You might go into more detail. He might be worried about his wife and his daughter when he's away. So just have a go at writing down a few thoughts for each slide as we go. Okay, so I'll get you to pause the video at each point. Spend maybe 3 to 4 minutes on each image. Okay, here we go. So we've got 2 images here. So 2 separate thoughts for these. The one on the left is the man on the boat on his journey. What would he be thinking here? What's going through his mind? All these amazing birds flying overhead. And the second image is him arriving at the new place. And he's undergoing this intense medical examination. He's being, he has to show his papers. What would he be thinking there? Would he be confused? Would he be willing to do it? Would he be frustrated because he can't speak the language? So pause the video now. I'd like to write 2 thought bubbles, one for each of these images. Off you go. Okay, hopefully you've got something down for how our main character is feeling there. The next page. So here we have an image of the man. He's been invited to dinner at someone's house in the new city. So he's there, but again, we see this little creature, don't we? And they're different types of pets. You can imagine they're kind of like their cats and dogs, aren't they? But they almost seem a bit more wild. They seem to come and go when they like. How's he feeling in this section? Even though his face is turned away from us, it almost looks to me like he's smiling a bit there. Would he be feeling welcomed by them? Would he be enjoying his evening? They've got lots of unusual things they're eating on the table. And the second one, when he finds this creature in his living space, what are his thoughts here? Is he confused? Is he slightly scared? Does he just want to get rid of it? So again, 2 speech bubbles, please. One for each of these images. Off you go. Okay. And that's it. So I hope you've got a bit of the gist of this story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It's absolutely incredible. And if you could get hold of a copy, it's really worth it. We've got some in school, so you can have a little flick through when we're eventually allowed to come back together. So very well done. It really helps us get into the mindset of how our characters are thinking and feeling. So excellent work, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.